Welcome to Scream House, where every story hides a truth you're better off not knowing. Tonight's tale is not for the faint of heart. Turn down the lights, listen closely, and if you survive this one, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. The best place to start my story would be the beginning, which is the best place to start any story. It must have been about 3 years ago, a day that I'll never forget, on an early 7 o'clock morning at 4721 Harvest Lane in Temecula, California. I was packing some last-minute things from my bedroom, a room that used to be filled with the sound of mid-air body slams on a hard, bouncing wrestling mat, sounds from my favorite wrestlers, The Undertaker or The Rock, or maybe just slurred words from Stone Cold Steve Austin. Words that, if I'd even thought about repeating, my mother would have her wrath upon my head. Yes, Monday Night Raw used to bring me much joy. I'd sit there, eyes glued to my 27-inch Magnavox LED flat-screen television, motionless, speechless, and completely unaware of anything going on around me and my Monday Night Raw. Posters of the San Antonio Spurs also took claim to numerous angles on my wall. The poster of Tim Duncan's 1999 title-winning season, with him holding the NBA's highest honor, was my favorite. Though many say that because it was only a half season due to the lockout, it really didn't count. Even as a first-time teenager, I realized that a win was a win. Besides, all the other NBA teams had the same chance as the Spurs did, but they lost, and we won, bottom line. At least, that's how I explained it to my dad, who was a huge Lakers fan. I was a lover of music instruments, but none stole my attention away from all that existed like the guitar did. Good God Almighty, what an instrument you allowed to be created. The sounds from the strings, just from a few strokes, would literally send chills down my spine, vibrating my very being. And even though my impression of Rudolf Schenker was mediocre at best, I still kept an all-black, white-splashed electric Squier mini guitar alongside my wall next to my bedroom door. Every time I walked in my room and glanced over at that guitar with the headstock slightly tilted left, depending on the side of my bedroom doorpost for most of it, I just almost felt like a rock star returning home from some successful world tour. And now that all my millions of adoring fans and groupies have taken a leave from screaming till their lungs collapsed, I could finally enjoy what I love doing best, kicking back with my best friends, eating nachos, and beating online suckers on computer games, and not thinking of long bus rides, sold-out amphitheaters, or sleazy hotels at night. And there against my bedroom wall, my bank-breaking, mega-money-making smash-hit guitar would stay until the day performance of some famous award show would come knocking once again. But all those things were already packed away since they carried most of my fantasy value. No, it wasn't those things I was sadly gathering early Saturday morning in a dejected, lugubrious manner. It was things that could easily be replaced, things that carried minimum value to me, things like old notepads, drawing pencils, and sketches of hero figures I'd made up, heroes that I have and could draw 1,000,000 times over. Heroes like Mr. Mighty Magnet Man and the super-duper Cape Crusader. Sometimes I include them co-starring in one another's short adventure stories, a tad bit on the lame-o side, I know. And if I didn't realize Big Ben Tramer and his famous arm frogs, which were 2 or 3 punches directly and very forcefully launched into either some poor kid's arm, in this case, once Big Ben saw my lame-o drawings in class one day, the poor kid was me, would have no problem reminding me of just how lame-o they were. But they were my creations, and at least I thought they were cool. Most of what I really needed was already packed away in boxes with my name on them. My mom and I had stayed up until about 12 in the morning, just to make sure we wouldn't be pressed for time once the sun came up. So I guess what I was really doing was wasting time fiddling around because I wasn't too happy. I wasn't satisfied at all, to say the least. So, moving very slowly, almost like an elderly man on his last stretch of life, I circled my room, grabbing at little knick-knack items that I hadn't paid attention to in years. It may have been a sunny Saturday morning with the birds chirping in the high trees, and every creature on Earth seemed to be in good cheer under California's clear blue skies. But in my eyes, There wasn't much to sing or be cheery about. My mom and dad decided it was time to move, disregarding, and in my mind, totally disrespecting, the fact that they were taking me from every friend I've ever had and the only place I knew as home. Just like adults, it seemed the only things that were important to them were things concerning them. Screw the fact that this is where I spent my entire childhood, well, 13 years of it anyway. I just couldn't come to grips with having to say goodbye to all the summer nights I played in these memory-filled streets and all the winter and spring vacations that brought me so much joy. And now I had to say goodbye. Just like that. This just wasn't right. It just wasn't fair. I guess you never truly understand the significance of saying goodbye to something you love until you have to. Well, now I had no choice, as others had to say goodbye to loved ones, material things, or maybe even old jobs. So I had to share in the moment of separation. It just wasn't fair. So, goodbye, old room where most of my learning of the birds and the bees came from. Over-the-top, PG-rated half-hour children's cartoons. Or at least, that's what they are passing off as children's cartoons these days. So, goodbye, bathroom, where I spent many nights recreating an imaginary knockout to Big Ben, completely redecorating his teeth and nose, leaving him shameful and bloody. So, goodbye. Kitchen where I spent many times over pretending to enjoy Dad's night to cook, and at the same time harboring an unimaginable grudge against my mom for suggesting that my father cook in the first place. I mean, yes, on the one hand, I understood the fact that Dad had the day off and her feet were tired from standing all day at work. But does that mean my stomach should have to suffer as much as her feet did after work? So, goodbye. Living room where my good old pops and I would understand the meaning of father-son bonding over a couple of hot dogs and 2 or 3 ice-cold root beers, bottles only, while watching the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. And lastly, goodbye, home altogether. If you may be wondering on this early Saturday morning who the saddest kid in the world God created was, then look no further than Temecula, California. Look no further than 4721 Harvest Lane. Look no further than a 13-year-old kid who goes by his government name, Abraham Gilmore. Not just sad, but hurt, and not just hurt, but brokenhearted. Yes, I understood Mom and Dad had to do what was right for the family. Yes, I understood that completely, but the fact that I could grasp an understanding of my parents' decision did not substitute the pain of my 13-year-old heart, regardless of how much I understood. To me, there wasn't a place in the world that could compare to my home in Temecula. The tall, dark green-leaved wide-trunk oak and ash trees, and youth-filled neighborhoods that crawled with children from sunrise till moonlight. All day long, we would paint the streets of our quiet suburban parish, or confines, or stomping grounds, or whatever you want to call it, with laughter. And when the streetlights came on, we would round up into our safe nests until the sun would rise once again. And as it grew, so too would we, to regain our rightful claim as youthful, mistake-prone adolescents, which was our God-given right. I can still remember last spring when left arm Bobby Cold clocked a fast ball right over Mr. and Mrs. Jennett's backyard, crashing right into their backsliding glass door. I do believe I can liken its speed to Satan being thrown from heaven like a lightning bolt by Michael, the archangel. The small white Joe DiMaggio autographed baseball, or at least old left arm Bobby swore, by all he knew was holy, which wasn't much, that his grandfather had Joe DiMaggio autograph it himself. It went crashing over the wall, through Mr. and Mrs. Jennett's overly ripped black plum trees, knocked a few dark purple plums to the high green grass, and finally busted the right side of the Jennett's backsliding glass. It continued to roll until it lost steam, like a steam-powered train from the old west days of Dodge City would slow into a complete stop to pick up its next set of dusty passengers. So too did this adventurous baseball that had the crap knocked out of it by a lying left arm kid. The ball finally came to a complete stop under their red oak dining room table, ending its mini course of destruction. And witnessing that baseball crash through that window caused a great fear to come over me. Nothing can compare to the fear that adults caused, especially when you know you've done wrong. So we stood there with that fear in our eyes. Me, left arm Bobby, Justin, or Just, as we called him, Billy Newberry, pink shirt Melvin, on account that he always wore hot pink t-shirts and swore that they were burgundy. And lastly, Sandy. Tomboy Sandy was what we called her behind her back, but none of us had the balls to say it to her face. I came close one time, though. She had stepped on my foot in 7-Eleven, standing in the free Slurpee line. It was on the tip of my tongue to say, "Hey, you manly tomboy, get the heck off my foot or else." The only problem was, I knew that those words lacked one thing: nerve. Truth was, I had seen Tomboy Sandy beat the living daylights out of guys 2, maybe 3, grades higher than us for simple wise cracks. Wise cracks that usually ended by her knuckles being implanted into their nose and or mouth area, bruising her hands but breaking bones in their face. I was no coward either. My dad taught me how to defend myself pretty well, even had a few summers of karate under my belt. But still, I wanted no part of Tomboy Sandy. Yet still, our rat pack was a tough one. We were rough when it came to playing sports or wrestling, or anything else your mind can conjure up about young, musty, roughhousing boys. Tomboy Sandy was still the only girl who played baseball with us. We were a rat pack, rebel window-crashing crew, and we all loved her to death, tomboy or not. I mean, we just knew we were done for, but the only disciplinary correction we ever got was Mr. Jennings's words of wisdom. But that's how it was in Temecula. Low crime, family-friendly neighborhoods, and now all of a sudden I'm being forced to leave all this. What a blow. "Abe, honey, it's time to go," my mom said, as she walked gingerly down the stairs carrying a 2-foot purple terracotta vase my father had given her on their 10th anniversary. To be honest, she didn't even like the thing. Who gives someone a vase on their anniversary anyway, and a purple one at that? You could just tell it was one of those last-minute, "oh crap, I forgot" sort of things. I can imagine him getting off of work and rushing into the nearest store he could find and nervously, almost frantically, eyeing anything that would save him from a good telling off and a couple of nights in the doghouse. And after a few nows, I better not get that, the best thing he could come out of the store with was a purple terracotta vase. But Mom never complained to my father about it. She never really complained about anything, come to think of it. She was just that way, I guess, quiet, calm, and cool-headed. That's what my dad always told her whenever they disagreed. "Don't be so cool-headed. Argue with me, Helen." Then, before long, he would realize she was right, apologize, and they'd laugh. "That's the kind of woman you want God to give you one day, son," my father would say. "She's dependable, sweet, a great cook, and always lets me beat her in Scrabble. What better half can a man ask for?" he would say jokingly, grabbing her in his arms and kissing her forehead. All while I tried my best not to barf from parent affection grossness. But that was Helen, that was my mom, and I guess you could say I loved the old girl, yes sir, you could say I loved her a lot. My dad was more of an outspoken person, the type that expressed whatever he was feeling. I really admired that quality about my father, the gall to stand up for what he believed was pretty cool to me, even though I didn't share that same gusto. I remember once when we went to a local restaurant and the waitress and my dad had a miscommunication. He ordered a glass of lemonade and she brought him iced tea. Then he ordered spaghetti and she brought him a burger and fries. Before you knew it, my dad stood up and yelled, "Hey miss, this is the last time I'll ever eat at this establishment. You're rude and not to mention hard of hearing." By then, my mom was tugging on his sleeve in embarrassment, saying, "David, please, you're causing a scene." That's pretty much how it would always go. Someone upset him, and she'd have to remind him that we were God-fearing people. Then he would apologize, and life went on as usual. Yep, that's my family. Not one boring minute at the Gilmore residence. My wristwatch read 9:13 a.m. I stood outside on a cool summer's morning, giving one last glance to the place I'd spent 13 years of my life. The place where little Billy Newberry and I built a treehouse and spent every day after school. Until one day, Billy fell from one of the steps trying to climb too fast. For a long time, his mom never let him come over again, even though he didn't break one bone. Though Billy and I were best buds, it wasn't like my neighborhood wasn't full of friends. So, as I stood there dazed, I guess you can presume I wasn't just saying goodbye to my home, but to all those fun times that I could never get back. All the memories that I would be so far away from, just so my parents could better their future. But what about my future? I guess when you're only 13 years old with no job and a junior high level of education, No one really values your opinion. Come on, Abe. Didn't you hear your mother the first time, kiddo? Said my father. We've got to get rolling. I want to beat the traffic. I've given you almost an hour to say goodbye, and the last thing I need is to be stuck in traffic right now. So, come on. I didn't even respond. I just slowly got into our vehicle. Most of our stuff should almost be in Henderson, right, dear? Asked my mom. Yes, sweetie, I believe so. The movers left a couple of hours ago, Dad responded. Mom and Dad decided that Nevada's market was better for my father's line of work. He was a life insurance agent, and Las Vegas was one of the world's fastest growing cities. He said the reason he chose Henderson was so that he could be close to work, yet far away from the Vegas nightlife. Vegas, now there's a city for you, fast, exciting, overwhelming even. The only thing is that they may have had a riveting nightlife, but their school system was among the worst in the nation. My mom even joked that maybe the money Las Vegas politicians allow to be put into casinos should be placed in the school system. And then the children from the 702 area code would be the minds that build casinos, not become statistics of them. Well, anyway or either way, that's why my parents choose Henderson for my dad's work. It really didn't matter where we went as far as my mom's career was concerned. Since she was a registered nurse, she said it would be easy to find work anywhere. But the only thing I wanted to know was what was wrong with the work we were doing. Yet none of that would matter, I thought, as we finally backed out of our driveway and headed out. My head was down, facing my shoelaces. I was too upset to look up. I didn't even want to look at my parents. I was so angry. The tall tree branches that hovered over our neighborhood streets reflected off the car windows as if they were saying their final farewells. And as our car drove further and further away, I sat in the back seat and watched as my old neighborhood vanished in the distance between us, and with it my joy, my memories, and my Temecula. Did you tell your friends goodbye, and that you will keep in touch, son? My mother asked, as she looked at me through the rearview mirror. Yeah, I replied lowly and with bitterness. But what I didn't tell my parents as we were leaving for our new life was how upset Left Arm, Just, Billy Newberry, Pink T Melvin, and Tomboy Sandy were after they found out. I even saw Tomboy Sandy do something I never saw her do before, shed a tear. There we stood in my backyard, all hugging and sharing old-time stories of our past antics. I would even go so far as to say they were as upset as I was about the whole ordeal. But what could we do? Nothing but say our goodbyes, that's what. So we did. Yet before we departed, and before I made my way home to sleep one last night in my old room, I vowed the best promise that a 13-year-old could vow. I intended to keep that vow to my best friends. I will be back. This is not goodbye, but see you guys later. Now come on, son. You'll see them again. We'll visit, I promise. Plus, you have their telephone numbers, and there is always Facebook, she added. I hated Facebook, and I never even had an account. It was supposed to be a place to stay in touch with friends and loved ones. Yet it was a place to showcase all of your stupid and meaningless gossip, along with everyone else's. Cheer up, son, Dad added. You'll meet new friends. Watch and see. Then he went off into a story about how he moved around a lot as a kid because his father was a military man, and how he made new friends in every city he lived in. To be honest, I loved my pop, but I was in no mood to hear one of his lectures, so I wasn't going to. The drive from Temecula to Henderson was about 5 hours, so you can imagine I was bored out of my mind. My dad was a huge oldies fan. There are only so many feel-good songs a guy can take before he cracks. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home. Jeez, this guy must have really been in love. But either way, I couldn't take any more. Dad, come on, turn the radio off. I can barely hear my PSP. I yelled, trying to drown out Bill Withers' love ballad and find my earphones at the same time. This is good stuff, son. They don't make it like this anymore, he finished. Besides, we're almost there. Yeah, there. The problem is that I wasn't where I wanted to be. By the time we got to Henderson, it was about 2:45 p.m., and my mood hadn't changed in those 4.5 hours. We could have made it there earlier, but I kept going to the restroom as an excuse to stop. Okay, so I do have a bit of a bladder control problem that I'm highly insecure about that I have been dealing with since the 2nd grade. But that wasn't it. I honestly didn't want to live in Henderson, and I did whatever I could to slow that process, even if I had to use something that I was so ashamed of, like my bladder problem, as an excuse. So, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times I screamed bloody murder and had my dear old dad pull over so I could run into a Shell, Chevron, or Texaco gas station. Poor guy. After the 4th time, and seeing the frustration in his eyes, I just couldn't bear to bring myself to make him fight traffic again, just so I could stand over a toilet, knowing that nothing was going to come out. No more. I thought no more. So, I sat in the back seat and mentally complained as we entered Vegas. What a city to behold. Even in the middle of the day, you could see the sparkling, glamorous lights. The fancy casino resort buildings alone would blow anyone away. Buildings designed to recreate the beauty of far and distant lands. Buildings such as the Stratosphere seem actually to mingle with the clouds of heaven. Or perhaps the Mirage, which captured the radiance of the French Polynesian. The MGM, which claimed dominance with a carnival African theme and stamped it with a lion's head. Luxor, which grasped the magnitude and sheer genius of the ancient Egyptians. And who can discount the pure awe of the Mandalay Bay, which held the gorgeous luster of the tropics? And with so many more grand attractions, the battle-born state was truly a wonder, yet Las Vegas was just a viewing pleasure for my family and I. We continued on the 95 freeway until we saw the Welcome to Henderson sign alongside a busy road that led towards the off-ramp. One thing I couldn't complain about, no matter how upset I got, was the neighborhood. I mean, the place was out of a magazine. Big streets to run up and wide sidewalks to ride my bike on all day. Tall pine trees that ran along the brick walls set our community apart from the others. Yet the funny thing about the houses was that they all looked alike. Ours was a darker beige color with off-white trim that wrapped around the middle and base of the home. The 3-car garage was to the left of the house, and my mother just fell in love with the crystal glass front door. Yet I fell in love with the massive tree in our front yard. It reminded me of the one Billy dropped out of. Hopefully, I could meet a new friend, and we'd build a tree clubhouse of our own. Okay, the movers are already here. Let's get this in and out of the way, Dad said as we pulled into the driveway. I looked around the neighborhood, seeing if I could spot any young people like myself, but the neighborhood was pretty quiet. Either the families were gone, or they just stayed inside, hiding from the intense Nevada heat. Temecula was totally the opposite. We played all day and all night, especially once school let out. So this place may have been beautiful, but it was also lacking youth, which only added to my dislike of moving here in the first place. Dad, where should I put these boxes? I asked, trying my best not to get in the way of the real movers. Read what it says on the side of the box, Abraham, my father replied in a life is so simple monotone voice. This is really going to take some getting used to, I thought to myself as I dropped a heavy box in my new bedroom. 4 plain white walls and a bed. Nothing fancy about it at all. Hey Mom, once we get settled, can I get a fish tank and some new Spurs posters maybe, if we can find any? I asked. Sure, dear. Maybe we can find a super center around here later tonight, she replied. My mom would probably have replied sure to just about anything to cheer me up. I guess parents can sense when their children aren't happy, because my mom knew that this moving business put a horrible damper on my spirits. And anyway, some new wall posters would probably take away some of the dull vibes I got from my new eggshell white room. I also couldn't wait to break out some of my old stuff, like my Tim Duncan poster and my guitar. I figured I'd leave it in the same place as it was in my old bedroom, so I would get the same feelings as I did back in Temecula. Oh, and Abe, whenever you're finished unpacking, see if there are any kids your age around the neighborhood, she added as she yelled from across the hall. As if making new friends was like shopping for groceries. It's not that easy, Ma, I replied in an irritated manner, and it wasn't like I was trying to be a pain. I just couldn't stand it when people make life seem simple as pie. Whew, I sighed as I finally finished unpacking, or at least finished all I was going to unpack for the day. I happened to look out the window, and there she was, the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. Wow, this place might not be so bad after all, I said to myself. Where did she come from, and how come I didn't see her out moments ago when I was out there, I thought as I stared in total amazement at this gorgeous girl. No time to waste, I thought. So, I grabbed my lucky Padres hat that tomboy Sandy gave me after her dad, and she saw them play in Diego and rushed down the stairs. I got halfway out the door when it hit me like a ton of bricks. I suck at talking to girls, I thought to myself. What was I going to say? Better yet, what was I going to do? Most of the time, I would just clam up in a girl's presence and hope to God I didn't make a fool of myself. So what could have possibly possessed me to think anything different would happen this time? But I just had to make a move, and whatever it was, I had better think of it quick. I finally made my way down the steps, and once I opened the front door, she was there with a pink and white WNBA basketball in her hands. She shot a few baskets, making them all, so once again, my mind had begun to make me feel even worse because I couldn't make 2 in a row, let alone how many she was making. As I stood in the doorway, watching this hoop maker, I couldn't help but say under my breath, "Wow, she's pretty good." Then my Sherlock Holmes instincts started to kick in as I studied her whole attire. She wore dark green basketball warm-up pants with yellow trimmings running down the side, and a yellow jersey with a green number 9 on the back. That told me she must play for a team. Plus, you have to have passion to be out here playing basketball in 105-degree weather. Back in Temecula, we would have never dreamed of playing basketball in this heat. We would have been down at the beach or playing video games. So as I stood there, I thought that I'd better make my move, even though that posed a problem, because I just watched the game but never really played it. And the last thing I wanted to do was embarrass myself in front of a girl as pretty as she was. Yet the only way I was going to get to know her better was by challenging her to a friendly game. Well, here goes nothing, I thought, praying to God that I wouldn't make a fool of myself. I took a deep breath as I slowly approached her, while the wise words of my mother ran through my mind. "Son, I want you always to be bold," she would say. No matter what I faced, being bold, I would triumph. At least that's what she would say. "Hey, can I play?" I said in a low, nervous tone. "Sure," she replied. It worked. It actually worked. Being bold and confident actually worked, I thought to myself. Her simple reply of "sure" seemed as if it completely swept all the nervous tension from my belly, and suddenly I wasn't afraid to be myself. Her long, sandy brown hair ran down the back of her head in a ponytail. "So, you're new here, huh?" she asked. "Yeah. What gave it away?" "The huge moving truck?" I replied. Then we laughed briefly. "So, what's your name?" she asked as she took a shot at the basket. "Okay, I'll tell you, but you have to promise not to laugh," I replied jokingly. "My name is Abraham, but everyone calls me Abe," I finished. "So what's yours?" "Melissa with 1 S, not 2, she answered. "Wow, Melissa," I thought to myself. Then, just for a few seconds, I dreamed of holding Melissa in my arms, holding her and never letting her go, holding her like a glass cup holds ice-cold water on a scorching day, or like the earth holds her precious minerals, or just like my dad holds my mom after a long day of work. I know I don't know her very well yet. Hell, I don't know her at all, but there was just something about this girl that I found so intriguing. The way I felt about her was something that only guys like Romeo and the Phantom of the Opera felt about their lady loves. I felt about her the way guys my age shouldn't think for a girl for at least another few years or so. "Where are you from?" she asked. "Temecula," I replied. "Okay, so where's that? It isn't like that's a common place?" She responded jokingly, sarcastically. "It's just a small town in California, nothing major," I answered. "So, what's up with this neighborhood? Where is everyone? It seems sort of quiet," I asked, as she finally missed a shot, and I grabbed the rebound. "Most of the families went on vacation. They should be back tonight or tomorrow, seeing how school is in one more day," Melissa replied, looking over the empty street as she answered me, as if she too had just taken notice of how quiet the neighborhood was. I took a couple of shots at the basket as she asked me a question I really wasn't ready to answer. "Well, how do you like Nevada so far?" If she wanted honesty, she would have gotten an answer like, "I hate this stupid place. It's nothing like home, and I didn't want to come here in the first place." If she wanted the truth, she would have gotten, Why the heck couldn't they just leave our lives the way they were? I want to go back home. I want to go back to Temecula. Yet instead, I pretended to be optimistic about the whole new experience thing. So, are you ready for school on Monday, Abe? She asked. Yeah, please don't remind me. I mean, I guess I am. I just wasn't ready for summer to pass this fast, you know, I replied. Yeah, she started to reply. Melissa, a lady called from a front door porch across the street from my house, wearing a nice flower dress with an apron wrapped around her waist, and her hair was similar to Melissa's. Even was in a ponytail with a yellow ribbon, like hair tie, wrapped around it. Come in, Mom, she answered. Well, it was nice meeting you, Abe. I'll see you around, okay? She said, running to her house, which looked just like the rest on the block. Yeah, sure, I replied. Oh, hey, thanks. You know, for letting me shoot around with you, I finished. Anytime. See you later, she yelled as she ran into her house, lightly tossing her pink and white basketball in the air. I walked backwards towards my garage, trying not to miss any step that she took. Melissa, 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 I repeated in my mind.